Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, welcome back to my channel. I have taken a slight break. I had the best of intentions of filming last week, and I did actually sit down, get ready, start, and then my brother needed urgent help with his art homework because he cannot draw. So I had to stop and help him with that because it was due in the next day. And then I was supposed to film again this weekend. I don't have a good excuse for not filming other than I worked 6 days this week and just didn't want to do anything on Sunday. Although I did actually organise my wardrobe, so I was productive, just not in the right way. In fairness, I thought everyone would want a bit of a break from me after my Halloween week, but it's now like the third week of November, so I am taking the piss a bit. I do apologise. But I am trying my best to kind of balance life and being consistent with YouTube, as well as just everything that's kind of gone on in my life recently, just trying to get myself in the frame of mind to film, because sometimes I'm just not in the mood. Mainly because I don't think it's quite hard to explain quite how hard it is just to get yourself in the right frame of mind to sit and talk to yourself and be relatively entertaining for about an hour. But I hope everyone's doing well and has had a nice few week break without me. I am back. I have got lots of scripts written, and I am in the process of writing two or three more at the moment. The two that I'm writing about Daniel LaPlante. I've started him today and I'm about halfway-ish through. The next one I'm doing, I think I actually have info on it here. She says, yes, it's about Ellen Greenberg. I fell down a rabbit hole and a half with this. I really thought it would be a relatively quick case, and it's absolutely not going to be. This is why I don't like Unsolved. Technically it's solved, but there's a lot of mystery to it. I hate unsolved cases because they send me slightly insane, because I feel like I am personally responsible for fixing it and figuring out what happened. I can't cope with not knowing what happened. Today I do have a case that I wrote quite a few weeks ago, because in the subject it says I picked the bear. This is a case that I have, again, it's one of those ones that kind of floated around on social media when it happened because it's not that old. And yeah, it's one of the most horrifying things I've ever read. It's terrifying, really. Shockingly, as it's so scary, I actually don't think I have any trigger warnings for today's case other than just pure fear. This is something straight out of a horror movie, and as a woman, it's one of the most terrifying things I could ever think of. So if it's something you don't want to deal with today, totally get that. I'm sure I'll see you for another case. Content warning, as always, strong language. This is the case of Kim Wall. Unfortunately, I don't have any background information on Kim, so we're just going to get straight into it. Kim was 30 years old and she was a freelance journalist, and she was travelling the world from her base, her home in Sweden. And she was travelling the world doing freelance journalism, and this is what she loved and this was her passion. We're going straight into August of 2017, where Kim and her partner Ole were getting themselves ready because they were going on a trip to Beijing. For several months, Kim had been trying to set up an interview with a Danish inventor named Peter Madsen. Kim had obviously been trying to set up this interview for quite a few months, and it was now getting very close to when her and her partner would be leaving, and she was only in the country for a few more days. On the 10th of August 2017, Kim and Ole were throwing a party for their close friends and family as a going away party, a farewell party. Whilst they were hosting this party, Kim received a text from the inventor, Peter, who invited her down to his workshop so she could conduct this interview that she wanted to do so badly. Kim accepted the invitation and went to go and meet Peter. She came home back to her partner Ole around 30 minutes later and said that Peter had actually invited her to go out in his submarine later on that evening, which she had again accepted. I didn't do any information on Peter because fuck Peter, but in 2008, how do you build a submarine like yourself? He built a submarine himself, which was 40 tons and 58 foot long, and it was called Nautilus. That's definitely not how it's said. But he built the submarine, I'm assuming by himself, in 2008. Again, how do you do that? Who just decides they want a submarine? And why? Would you want a submarine? If you could build anything random, what would you build? And why? I'm trying to think what I would build. Just like a money printing machine. So Kim decided to skip her own party to go and meet Peter and go on this submarine, which I think just shows how hardworking and dedicated to her job she really was and how much she loved it that she was willing to skip her own party. Ordinarily, Ole would go with her to these interviews, but because they were hosting a party, he had to stay home and host. Kim was due to go on the submarine between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. and around 7 p.m. she texted Ole a picture of, I think, her in the submarine or of the submarine. Kim and Peter then went into the submarine and Kim texted Ole saying, "I'm still alive, by the way, going in the sub now. He's brought cookies and donuts. Love you." Coffee and cookies. Now the time came and went past 9 p.m. when Kim should be off the submarine and texting Ole to let him know that she's okay. And she never texts, and he started to get quite worried at this point. So he ends up riding his bike down to where it would come up. Do they dock? I don't know how submarines work. And it wasn't there. Around 1:45 a.m, he called the police. Around 10:30 a.m. the next morning, the submarine was spotted by a lighthouse in Kogi Bay. I hope that's how it's said, because that's a really good name. A man who was in his boat, who was actually helping with the search for the submarine, said that he saw Peter around 11 a.m. and he saw him surface out of the submarine, and then he saw the submarine sink. So he saw Peter go down in the submarine, so I'm guessing he came up and then he went back down, and then when he came back up again, the submarine then began to rapidly sink. I think I explained that terribly. Peter swam to a nearby boat where he was helped into the boat by 4 fishermen. And when he reached land, he was met by swarms of reporters wanting to know what the hell was going on. And more importantly, where the hell was Kim? He went over, gave him the thumbs up, said, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sad about my submarine though. We're not looking for you. No one's reported you missing. Where is Kim? We don't give a shit how you are. We can see you're fine." Police obviously wanted to have a word with Peter, and he told police that he had dropped Kim off around 10:30 that night, and he told them exactly where he had dropped her off, and this area happened to be loaded with CCTV cameras that did not support his claims at all. Idiot. Police absolutely did not believe a word that was coming out of Peter's mouth, and he was pretty much immediately charged with involuntary manslaughter. After hearing this, Peter then gave his second version of what happened. Peter claimed that there had been a terrible accident on board and that Kim had actually whacked her head on the hatch, which was about 150 pounds, which I will look up what that is in stone because I have no idea how heavy that is. And he said that he panicked and buried her at sea. You'd think you'd have enough time, or once you've done what you've done, you'd have time to think of something slightly more believable, because it's just pathetic, really. But again, no one believed a word that was coming out of this massive liar's mouth, because it doesn't make any sense. The submarine was recovered from the floor of the ocean, and there were traces of Kim's DNA found, but most of every bit of evidence that they could possibly need had just washed away because it was in the sea. And I don't know how long it took to get it out. On the 21st of August, 11 days after Kim went missing, a cyclist was cycling and he came across a torso on the beach, and this was confirmed later on to be Kim's torso. There should have been some trigger warnings, I think. An autopsy revealed that Kim had been stabbed around 15 times in and around her vagina. I don't have anything to say to that. On October 6, police divers found Kim's head, legs, clothing and a knife. November 22nd, her left arm was located, and November 29th, her right arm was finally located. Each body part had been placed into a bag and weighed down with various different objects, so there was just no way this could ever be taken as some kind of horrible accident and a panic move at all. I dread to think what poor Kim went through down there, and this is why I said at the start, it's just the most terrifying thing I could possibly imagine, because you are stuck. You are stuck in there. You can't get out. You can't do anything. You are stuck with this horrendous man. And I just hope that she didn't know a lot of what was going on, and that she was gone quickly, because it's just the most horrendous thing you could do to someone. I can't imagine the fear and panic that went through her when she was just trying to do her job, and she'd been so excited about getting an interview with this fucking heinous human being, and this is what he does. Like, just... Peter continued to deny that he had anything to do with the dismemberment of Kim's body. As far as I'm aware, it was just the two of them in there. So what? You let her out, you gave her a sea burial, and a fish did it. Put her body parts in bags, stabbed her several times, and weighed down the bags. Just, what do you mean? Stupid. On October 30th, Peter decided to change his pathetic story once again. And again, just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He said that Kim had died whilst on the submarine from carbon monoxide poisoning, and he couldn't get her back out of the submarine, so he decided the best way to do that would be to cut her up. It just doesn't make sense. If this was a genuine accident, you would just come ashore, you'd call for help. Like, you wouldn't panic that much. If it wasn't your fault, you just wouldn't. This is the real kicker. Peter said that he had initially withheld this information out of respect for Kim's family. I hope he's getting his head kicked in prison. Peter had his items and computers and phone and everything searched through by police, of course, and they found a recently searched and watched video of a woman being beheaded. Peter, of course, said this wasn't him. Of course not. Someone else was on his laptop, wasn't him. Because of the evidence being washed away and what had happened to Kim's body, it's unclear exactly what her cause of death was. It's believed that she was, unfortunately, bound, beaten, tied up, tortured, and possibly strangled to death. And like I said earlier, I pray that it was quick and she didn't feel 99% of what happened to her, because no one deserves to feel any of that, and especially just the fear alone would be enough to finish me off. So in Peter's submarine, he had screwdrivers, saws, knives, zip ties, and bags. So this piece of shit was very well prepared for this, which is really concerning, because you think, did he lure anyone else into the submarine? He obviously had the intention of killing Kim that night, which is just very, very random. Like, just an innocent young lady. Like, why? That's what I want to know. On the 25th of April 2018, Peter was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Unfortunately, I think he's still living. I am going to post in the description below some memorials that have been posted for Kim. It's just horrible, and I think at the moment, with a lot going on in the world in regards to women, I think it's so hard, especially to explain to anyone who's not a woman, just how scary things like that are, and that you do just have to think about every possible scenario. And people sometimes think you're being ridiculous and you're being over the top, and I'm very paranoid anyway. I'm very cautious, and I think I'm just quite anxious, to be honest. And then I kind of bleed that into my friends. One of my friends was going on a first date the other week, and she said about going like for a walk around a forest. And I was like, are you insane? No, absolutely not. And it was only when I then explained it to her, and I was like, you don't know him like enough. You haven't met him like properly before. You don't know him enough for that to be safe. And it's just so scary, all the things you constantly have to think about, because you just don't know people. And I'm gone off on a massive tangent. Being a woman can be so exhausting at times. Oh, I need a positive thought. I've gone on a horrible tangent and now I'm upset. Positive thought, positive thought, positive thought, positive thought, positive thought, positive thought. What have I done this week? What have I done that's positive? Positive thought. I wrote my Christmas list today. Thankfully, we're not really doing a massive Christmas as kind of like a family, because we go on holiday on Boxing Day. So we're only kind of doing like one present for each of us to open. and then we're going to buy each other stuff in the sales when we're on holiday, which I think is genius. So I wrote my list today, which isn't very long, but I found a really cool present for my granddad, which he's going to love. I know what I'm getting for my nan. I've already pretty much got my mum. My dad's getting Croc slippers. I have no idea what to get from my brother. I do need to ask him what he wants, but he'll probably just go, money. So I am going to shuffle through this and figure out exactly what I'm going to film next, because I'm determined to do at least 2 weeks in a row where I am consistent. I will be consistent. I'm getting myself into a routine. I'm going in the gym tomorrow. I'll probably film again on Thursday, and then I'm going to try and film again on Sunday. That I need to get into a routine, and I need to do at least 1 night a week where I'm writing scripts. I'm going to be good. I'm determined to be that girl. I'm going to be so organised, so on top of her shit. That is going to be me. Watch this space. Make good choices. Don't trust anyone. Be involved with cats and dogs and budgies and rabbits. Every kind of rabbit. Don't get murdered. I'll see you next week. Bye. Brother, she's a hurricane in all kinds of weather, jumping in and rock your body in time. Nautilus? No. Jump in the line, rock your body on time. Goodness me. Oh God. Sorry about that. Popular. Drama.